The next section we're gonna be working on will be this hero section. So let's switch over to the editor, fold this header section, and right here, let's create main section that is going to contain all other sections on the page. The first section will be the hero section. I'm also going to use the container for this section to restrict the width of the hero section. And as we've seen before, the hero section should contain two columns. The first column will contain some headings, and the right one will contain an image. So I'm adding here two div elements that are going to be representing those columns. The first div is going to contain h1 element with the main heading, as well as description represented by the paragraph. And down here, we'll have to add a couple of links that will look like buttons. The first link will say explore, and the second one will say learn more. And as for the right column, we're going to simply use an image element and specify the path to our image, which doesn't exist yet, but now I'm going to add it in a project. So the file with an image will be called editor.png, and here's how an image is going to look like. Alright, let's make sure that all necessary elements are shown on the page and get to styling those elements. So firstly, let's focus on the left side, which contains headings and buttons. We are going to apply a couple of classes to this h1 element. Increase the font size. Let's set it to 5XL. Then the font will be black. We're basically using maximum boldness, and the distance between letters will be tight. And just because we'll have to apply some additional classes to the VS Code part of this heading, I'm going to wrap this part into the span and assign additional classes. First of all, we'll have to add gradient to this name. So I'm using bg gradient to R class, meaning that the gradient will flow from the left to the right side. And then let's specify the first color of the gradient, which will be purple with a shade of 600. And the second color of the gradient will be indigo with a shade of 600 as well. And then to make this gradient to be applied to the text and not to the background, I'm going to assign additional classes such as bg clip text, as well as text transparent, like so. And as you can see, the gradient is applied. Next, let's add a couple of classes to the description. I'm going to add some spacing at the top. 4 units. The text size will be a large, and the text color will be gray with a shade of 600. Alright, now it's time to style those buttons at the bottom. So let's add styles to the first one. I'm going to increase horizontal as well as vertical spacing. The horizontal will be 8 units and the vertical will be 3 units. The text will be large. The font will be semi-bold. These buttons will be round. And the background color will be indigo with a shade of 600. The text color will also be indigo, but much lighter with a shade of 50. And when hovering over this link, the background color will be a little bit darker. Let's say indigo with a shade of 700. And almost the same classes we're about to apply to the second link, but just because this second link has to be gray, I'm going to change those classes responsible for colors. So in here, we're using bg gray 100 to make background color gray. Then we'll use text gray 900 to make text color dark gray. And when hovering over this link, the text color will be gray with a shade of 200. And just because later on we're going to add another section on this page with an identifier of features, we'll make this link to scroll the page to that section. So in here I'm specifying an identifier of that section in this href attribute, like this. Alright, cool. Now that we have those buttons ready, I'm going to make this whole wrapper flexible container and increase the distance between child elements. In our case, those child elements are the block with heading as well as the block with an image on the right side. And this way we're also going to position both of those elements on the same row. Next, let's also add some spacing to the section itself. For example, let's use 28 units as paddings from the top and 48 units as paddings from the bottom. And just to make the wrapper with an image to always cover 2/3 of this parent container, I'm going to use w-2/3 class like this. We are also going to position all the containers in the middle of the page, so let's use mx auto class. This way our hero section will be exactly in the middle. Also, let's align the block with headings and buttons in the center in relation to an image, and to do so let's use flex and flex call classes. And then we can align the content in this flexible container in a center by using justify center class, like so. And finally, let's round corners of an image and add some shadow to Excel. And here we go. The hero section is almost done. There is only one piece missing, and that is the reflection of an image that we're gonna be working on next.